Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. I've been slow with uploads past couple of weeks, so I'm getting back into the History Matters videos that I need to catch up on. Hi guys, how are you? Good, great. Hope you are ready to learn. If not, you are in the wrong class. Home ec is down the hall. Phones away. Even if you are watching on one, toss it. Let's do it. I said my name's Connor, right? Hi. I like to learn things. Original link, top description. Below that, link to the Discord. Love to have you. Let's go.
The Philippines is...
Sorry, why did the... This is... I've wondered this. Why did the Philippines keep its Spanish name? Well, not exactly that. I wonder how... You know, a lot of names in Philippines are very Spanish-looking. I know, like, the basic answer is that it was a Spanish... It was, you know, discovered... Not discovered. It was colonized by the Spanish Empire, right? And so that's where a lot of it comes from. But do they speak Spanish and like a Philippine language, or maybe like a combo or something like that? And so I get that it was sort of, you know, colonized or whatever you want to call it by the Spanish, and that's the big reason. But the fact that it's so much still a part of their identity today is a bit strange. Or interesting, intriguing. Let's find out.
The Philippines is a country made up of many islands and many peoples. It was named after King Philippe II of Spain when the Spanish conquered it in the mid-16th century. And despite the islands winning their independence twice, it never changed its name in the way that many newly independent countries do. Which raises the question, why did the Philippines keep its Spanish name? So first, countries do.
Naya Saloon?
Which raises the question,
Nyasaland?
why did the Philippines keep its Spanish name? So first, context. At the time of the Spanish conquest, the Philippines was in no way united. It was made up of many small independent states ruled by distinct peoples who spoke different languages. The islands were then mostly united under Spanish rule familiar, and they collectively soon became known as the Philippine Islands. Spain ruled the Philippines from this time all the way to 1898, which was when a short war broke out with the United States. And to put it mildly, Spain didn't do very well in the conflict. This was good news for Filipino rebels who had just been defeated by the Spanish just before the war's outbreak after they had declared the creation of the Philippine Republic. And so, with the Spanish defeated by the Americans, you'd think that this would be the beginning of an independent Philippines which could choose its own name, but fun fact, no. In the Treaty of Paris, the Americans were given control over the Philippines, which they could have relinquished whenever they wanted. The problem was that they didn't want to do that. Instead, they came to a compromise with the rebels. You shut up, and
hold on. Sometimes these newspapers are funny. Empire destroyed.
Didn't want to do that. Instead, they came.
I am obsessed with how little you can, with how much you can convey, with just drawing the islands smaller. Sorry, I had to fix this. And I wanted to... The yellowest press you ever did see. Jeez. Public service announcement. Friendly reminder to all parents. Hit your kids. It's the 19th century, and they probably deserve it. True.
You shut up and we'll keep the land. Shockingly, this led to war, but the Americans were much better armed and prepared than the Spanish were.
Yeah,
and thus, after a brutal conflict, the Philippines were pacified. So, did the Americans want to change the name? Well, no, because there was no reason to. They had won the Philippines, and they intended to keep the Philippines. The same went for when the Japanese occupied the islands during the Second World War. US sovereignty of the islands was declared over by the Filipino leaders, and a new 100% totally independent Republic of the Philippines was declared. The Americans soon undid this, but after the war was over, US leaders soon realized that there was only two options for the Philippines: independence or full statehood. They opted for option number one for several reasons. The first was that fighting a war against imperialist expansion and then keeping your unwilling colony seemed a bit hypocritical. Second, the Philippines had largely been economically ruined by the war, and the US didn't want to pay for all of that, and so, all the best. And third, the people who lived there wanted to be independent, and by 1946 most Americans were done with being shot at. And so, as an independent country with full control over its destiny, surely there was some with being who wanted to abandon the name given to it by its former overlords. And there were. The first name proposed was the Tagalog Nation, which was a big no-no because the Tagalog-speaking people were not a majority in the country. The second proposed name was Rosalia, named for the Filipino revolutionary Jose Rizal. The problem with this was that Rizal was a controversial character. Since he actually wanted the Philippines to remain a Spanish colony, this was that Rizal was a controversial character for the Filipino.
Wait, I don't get it. What?
Revolutionary Jose Rizal. The problem with this was that Rizal was a controversial character, since he actually wanted the Philippines to remain a Spanish colony just with extra freedoms, and thus, no. There was one last potential change of name, which was considered in the early 1960s, but there was a catch. Another country was also considering the same name and thus began the most boring race in human history. The first annual legislative sprint to get a majority in parliament to name your country, Malaysia. Spoiler alert, Malaysia won, and after this, barring the very recent push to change the name, the Philippines just sort of stuck. It was a case of trying to find a name, very recent push to change the name, the Philippines just sort of stuck. It was a case of trying to find a name that everybody could agree on, which they couldn't, and so the one that equally offended a case of
that place for McJibbin
remained. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching.
Thank you for making. Awesome as always, History Matters. Phenomenal channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. I didn't have any questions, right? And in your homework. Hope you're all doing well. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Chin up. Bye, guys.